flower is a modified shoot, and generally stalk of flower. This stalk of flower is called pedicel, and flower with pedicel is called pedicellate flower. If pedicel is absent, it is called sessile, and flower develop from axil of small scaly structure. Such small scaly structure is called bract, and a flower with a bract is called bracteate, and a flower without bracts called ebracteate. Then tip of pedicel. This tip of pedicel is called a thalamus, or it is called torus. Then this thalamus or a torus, it shows 4 nodes. First node gives rise to calyx. It includes sepals. Second node gives corolla. It includes petals. Third node gives andrecium. It includes stamens. Fourth node gives gynoecium. This gynoecium is developed from fertile leaf called a carpel, and gynoecium is also called pistil. Then here calyx and corolla are together called non-essential organs. Calyx and corolla together called non-essential organs because they indirectly participate in reproduction, or these are also called perianth members or chlamydias. Then point is chlamydias. If perianth arranged in one row, it is called monochlamydias. Example for monochlamydias, amaranthus. Then if calyx and corolla arranged in 2 rows, called dichlamydias. This dichlamydias is of 2 types. If calyx and corolla are differentiated, called heterochlamydias. Example for heterochlamydias, dicots. If calyx and corolla undifferentiated, called homochlamydias or tepals. These are common in monocots. So it is brief information. If flower contains both andrecium and gynoecium, if flower has both andrecium and gynoecium, that flower is called bisexual. If flower has either andrecium or gynoecium, such flower is called unisexual flower. And unisexuality is of two types. If that flower has only stamen, called staminate flower or male flower. If flower has only gynoecium, such flower is called pistillate flower or female flower. It is sexuality of flower. Then, sex distribution in plants. If same plant bear male and a female flowers separately, if same plant bear male and a female flowers separately, called monoecious plant. Example for monoecious: coconut, cucurbita, even maize. If male and female plants are separate, if male and female plants are separate, that condition is called dioecious. Example for dioecious: one is Vallisneria and second one is cycas. Monoecious and dioecious. Merosity of flower, it is based on number. Based on number, the flowers divided into three types. One is trimerous. Trimerous means calyx and corolla, 3 in number, or perianth members, 3 in number, or multiples of 3, called a trimerous. Generally, trimerous condition seen in monocots, Liliaceae. In Liliaceae, perianth members 6 arranged in 2 rows. Andecium 6 arranged in 2 rows. Gynoecium 3 arranged in 1 row. Next one, tetramerous. Tetramerous, perianth members are 4 or multiples of 4. Then a pentamerous, perianth members 5 or multiples of 5. This tetra and a pentamerous common in dicots. If you take individually, tetramerous common in Brassicaceae. Then pentamerous, example Solanaceae and even Fabaceae and Asteraceae. This is merosity. Merosity is based on only non-essential parts or calyx and corolla. Based on symmetry, that the flowers divided into 3 groups. Among 3 groups, first one, actinomorphic. Actinomorphic. Here flower can be cut into 2 equal parts, passing through center, the vertical or a transverse plane, called actinomorphic, or also called radial symmetry. Example for actinomorphic. One is Solanaceae, then Liliaceae, then Malvaceae, actinomorphic. Even Brassicaceae. These are for actinomorphic or radial symmetry. For Solanaceae, example tomato and chili. Liliaceae, example lilium. Malvaceae, cotton and shoe flower or hibiscus. Brassicaceae, example mustard. It is actinomorphic. Second one, zygomorphic. Zygomorphic or bilateral symmetry. In zygomorphic, flower can be cut into two equal parts only in one plane. Example for zygomorphic, Fabaceae, even Cisalpinaceae. For Fabaceae, example Dolichos and Pisum. For Cisalpinaceae, example Cassia. Cassia is important. In Telangana pushpam antaru Cassia, Telugulo Tangedu, zygomorphic. And third one, asymmetrical flower. Asymmetrical flower, that flower cannot be cut into two equal parts in any plane. It's called asymmetrical flower. Example for asymmetrical flower, Canna indica. So it is flower based on merosity and also that symmetry. Next one, based on position of ovary in related to other floral parts, that a flower is divided into three types. Of these, one is hypogynous. In hypogynous, thalamus is conical or convex. From the upper side of thalamus, gynoecium is formed. And other floral members like stamens or petals, stamens, petals and sepals develop from the base of ovary. So in this type, that ovary is said to be superior. So point, hypo means below, gynous means gynoecium. So below the gynoecium, all other floral parts are formed. And floral formula for hypogynous, it is hypogynous. And hypogynous, common in Malvaceae, example hibiscus. Solanaceae, example chili and tomato. Liliaceae, example allium and even lilium. Brassicaceae, example mustard. It is hypogynous. Second one, perigynous. In perigynous, thalamus is saucer shaped or a cup shaped. From the center of the thalamus, gynoecium is formed, and other floral parts like stamens, petals, and sepals, they develop from a rim or a corner of the thalamus. Hence, in this type, ovary is half superior and half inferior, or ovary is semi-inferior. Such flower is called perigynous. Floral formula for perigynous. Then, perigynous flower common in a Fabaceae and even Cisalpinaceae. Fabaceae, Pisum, Cisalpinaceae, even Delonix. It is second type. Then third type of flower, it is called epigynous. Epigynous, in which thalamus is deeply cup shaped. Thalamus is deeply cup shaped. Then this thalamus encloses ovary. Thalamus is deeply cup shaped. Thalamus encloses ovary. And all other floral parts like stamens, petals, even sepals develop from the top of the ovary. So, in this type, ovary is said to be inferior. And a symbol for epigynous, this is. And example for epigynous flower, one is Asteraceae. Asteraceae means tridax, and even sunflower. And Cucurbitaceae, example Cucurbita. Even Pyrus malus, apple, epigynous. So it is classification of flower based on position of ovary. This is. Then, if sepals are free, called polycephalous. Example for polycephalous, Annona. If sepals are fused, called gamocephalous. Example for gamocephalous, hibiscus and datura. Then next one, modifications of sepals. Modifications of sepals. In some plants, sepals reduce to hairs. If sepals reduce to hairs, called a pappus. Pappus is characteristic feature of Asteraceae family. And pappus help in fruit dispersal. And during fruit dispersal, pappus open like a parachute, so it is called a parachute mechanism. In some plants, sepals fall early, called ephemerals. Example for ephemerals, argemone. But in some plants, sepals remain with fruit, called persistent sepals. Even persistent sepals, 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 forms pappus and solanaceae, persistent sepals. In persistent sepals, if they do not grow further, rightly called 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧. Example for 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧, brinjal. If persistent sepals, they shows further growth, it is called accrescent. If they grow further, called accrescent. Example, physalis. So this is about sepals. The next one, corolla. If petals are free, called polypetalous. Free petals, called polypetalous. Example, hibiscus. If petals are fused, called 𝗂𝗍𝗄𝗃𝗃𝗃. If petals fused, called 𝗂𝗍𝗄𝗃𝗃𝗃. Example for 𝗂𝗍𝗄𝗃𝗃, datura. And some modifications of petals, cruciform. Cruciform means it is common in cruciferae. Common in cruciferae. Cruciferae, that are 4 free petals diagonally placed on thalamus. 4 free petals diagonally placed on thalamus. So it gives cross. So it is called a cruciform type. Second one, infundibulum. Infundibulum or funnel shaped. Example for infundibulum or funnel shaped, datura. Next one, tubular. All petals fuse to form like a tube, so it is called tubular. Disc florets of Asteraceae. The next one, ligulate. Ligulate means a tongue shaped. Ligulate or a tongue shaped. For this, ray florets of Asteraceae. Ray florets of Asteraceae. Ligulate. Then next one, campanulate. Campanulate means bell shaped. Campanulate or bell shaped. Example for campanulate or bell shaped is 𝗬𝗍𝗂. And next one, bilipped corolla. Bilipped corolla. Example for bilipped corolla, ocimum. Bilipped corolla, ocimum. So these are non-essential parts like sepals and petals. Next one, estivation. Here, estivation means arrangement of sepals Types of estivation. Types of estivation. One is valvate. Valvate estivation means perianth members either closely arranged, perianth members closely arranged, or between perianth narrow gap is present, but there is no overlapping, called valvate. Example for valvate: sepals of 𝗬𝗏𝗍, even that 𝗂𝗏𝗍 and 𝗂𝗦𝗍. The next one, twisted. Twisted is also called contorted or convolute. A twisted all perianth members alternatively overlapped. It means alternatively overlapped. One margin is outside and other margin is inside, called twisted or contorted or convolute. Example for twisted: petals of hibiscus and also datura. Next one, imbricate. Imbricate, all perianth members are overlapped, but overlapping direction is not specific. Imbricate. Under this, there is one descendingly imbricate or descendingly imbricate or vexillary estivation. Descending imbricate or vexillary estivation. It is common in Papilionaceous corolla. Which family means? Fabaceae. Papilionaceous. Actually, papilionaceous type means there are 5 free petals. 5 free petals unequal. That posterior petal is called a standard or vexillum, and lateral 2 wing petals. These wing petals are called alae, and anterior 2 petals, they fuse to form boat shaped, called 𝗘𝗅-carina. They encloses essential organs. Such arrangement is called papilionaceous type. So how these petals arranged in bud condition? Means like this. This is standard petal, then these are lateral wing petals, and these are the keel petals. So here overlapping takes place from posterior to anterior. Such postero-anterior condition is called descendingly imbricate or vexillary. There is another type of estivation. It is rightly called quincuntial. 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 In this type, two perianth members outside and two perianth members are inside and one member is alternatively overlapped. Two members outside, two members inside, one member is alternatively overlapped, called quincuncial. Example for quincuncial: sepals of 𝗘𝗍𝗃𝗃. So it is a description about non-essential parts. Now next one, description about essential organs. Description about essential organs. So essential organs, it includes what? Andrecium and that gynecium. So first one, andrecium. Andrecium, it includes stamens. Rightly, andrecium is male sex of the flower. This male sex of the flower. Then this andrecium shows two pods. Among two pods, basal stalk called filament. That filament is sterile. Apex, fertile part. This fertile part is called anther. Generally, this anther has two lobes. Anther has two lobes connected by sterile tissue called connective. If anther has two lobes, it is called dithecus. Best example for dithecus, the datura. Then, if you take transverse section of anther lobe, each anther lobe shows two chambers. Each anther lobe shows two chambers. So, dithecus means it shows four chambers, rightly called pollen sacs or microsporangia. So, no doubt, dithecus is tetrasporangiate. Example, datura. Datura, it is tetrasporangiate. 4 microsporangia are present. Then if only one anther lobe is present, if only one anther lobe is present, called monothecus. Monothecus stamens, common in Malvaceae, and a genuine best example that a hibiscus, that a monothecus stamens. And this monothecus, it shows only two sporangia. So rightly, monothecus is called bisporangiate type. And if stamen, if it produce pollen grains, called fertile. If it do not produce pollen, called staminode. Example for staminode, that 𝗘𝗍𝗃. So it is description about that stamen. The next one, generally stamen shows filament and anther. This filament is attached to anther. Such attachment of filament with anther is called fixation. It is called fixation. There are 4 types of fixation. One is base-fixed. Base-fixed, filament attached to base of anther. basifixed, datura. Second one, dorsifixed, filament attached to dorsal side of anther, dorsifixed, hibiscus. Third one, versatile fixation. Versatile fixation means filament attached to central point of anther and anther swing on that pollen and it liberates pollen grains. It is useful for dispersing that anemophily or wind pollen grains. And so this versatile fixation common in grasses. Example, best example, rice. And fourth one, adnate. Adnate means filament attached to dorsal side and throughout the length of stamen, called adnate. Example for adnate, Neelambo. It is fixation. The next one, dehiscence. Dehiscence means your function of anther is it produces pollen grains. Function of anther, produce pollen grains. After formation of pollen grains, this anther wall breaks and it liberates that pollen grains, called dehiscence. Your anther wall, dehiscence 4 types. One is longitudinal. Longitudinal means anther wall splits vertically and liberates pollen grains. Longitudinal is most common type. Take Solanaceae, even that Fabaceae. The next one, transverse dehiscence. Transverse, anther wall splits horizontally and liberates pollen grains. It is called transverse. Common in Malvaceae, example, hibiscus. Third, porous type. Porous type means small pores formed on anther wall. It liberates pollen grains. Liberates pollen grains, called porous. Porous type is common in a genus Solanum. And fourth type, valvular. Here valvular means anther wall splits like valves. Anther wall splits like valves and liberates pollen grains, called valvular. Example for valvular, Casita. Example is Casita. Next, based on height, stamens are divided into 2 groups. One is tetradynamous and didynamous. Tetradynamous, 6 stamens arranged in 2 rows. Outer row has 2 short stamens and inner row that are 4 long stamens present, called tetradynamous. Example for tetradynamous, Brassica. Didynamous, 4 stamens arranged in 2 rows, 2 long and 2 short stamens. Didynamous. Example, Ocimum. So it is classification that the stamens are divided into 2 groups. One is cohesion and the second one adhesion. Cohesion, union between similar parts. Cohesion is union between similar parts, called cohesion. Then Cohesion of stamens, three types. One is 𝗹𝗫. Second one, syngenesious. Third one, synandry. 𝗹𝗫. 𝗹𝗫 means only filaments fused and anthers are free, called 𝗹𝗫. And based on number of bundles, 𝗹𝗫 is divided into three types. One is monodelphous. Monodelphous, all stamens, filaments. If all filaments fuse to form one bundle, monodelphous. Common in Malvaceae. Example, hibiscus. But there are some exceptional in Fabaceae, Crotalaria and Arachis. Second one, diadelphous. Diadelphous, common in a Fabaceae. It includes 10 stamens, but 9 stamens fuse to form one bundle and a 10th stamen is free. 9 stamen fuse to form one bundle and one stamen is free, called a diadelphous. Then third one, polyadelphous. Polyadelphous, stamens fuse to form many bundles. If stamens fuse to form many bundles, called a polyadelphous. Example, citrus. It is 𝗹𝗫. Second one, syngenesious. Syngenesious means anthers are fused and filaments are free. If anthers fused and filaments are free, called syngenesious. Asteraceae. Example, Tridax. Synandrous. Synandrous, both anthers and filaments are fused. If anthers and filaments are fused, called synandrous. Example, cucurbita. This is about cohesion. Next one, adhesion. Adhesion means union between dissimilar parts, called adhesion. Union between dissimilar parts is called adhesion. Adhesion, 4 types. Epicephalous, stamens fused with sepals. Example, Grevillea, epicephalous. Epipetalous. Epipetalous, stamens fused with petals, called epipetalous. Datura, even that sunflower, epipetalous. Epiphyllous. Epiphyllous, or also called epitepalous. If stamens fuse with perianth or tepals, it is called epiphyllous or epitepalous. Example, asparagus, even onion, allium cepa. Fourth one, gynostegium. Gynostegium, that stamens fuse with a style, a part of gynoecium, called a gynostegium. Example for gynostegium is a 𝗘𝗅𝗺𝗺. It is about andrecium. Then last description in flower is what means gynoecium. Rightly, this gynoecium is developed from fertile leaves. Such fertile leaves are called carpels or megasporophylls. Here, stamens are called microsporophylls. Stamens are called microsporophylls and carpels are called megasporophylls. Rightly, the carpels forms gynoecium or pistil in angiosperms. In angiosperms, these carpels are closed and forms gynoecium or pistil in angiosperms. But in gymnosperms, carpels are open, and this gynoecium shows three parts of this basal swollen part called ovary, middle stalk called style, apex, a sticky part called stigma. And point is, this ovary encloses what means ovules. So gynoecium shows three parts like ovary, style, stigma. Inside ovary, ovules present. Then tip of style, it contains stigma. Rightly, that stigma is a sticky and it receives that pollen grains. Now, if this gynoecium is developed from one to many carpels. If gynoecium is developed from one carpel, rightly called monocarpellary Fabaceae. If gynoecium is developed from two carpels, bicarpellary Solanaceae. If gynoecium is developed from three carpels, called tricarpellary Liliaceae. If it is developed from four carpels, tetracarpellary, example, Enothera. If it is developed from five carpels, pentacarpellary, example, hibiscus. More than five carpels, it is called multicarpellary. More than five carpels, called multicarpellary, example, citrus. Generally, number of locules equal to carpels. Monocarpellary, unilocular, Fabaceae. Bicarpellary, bilocular, Solanaceae. In the same way, tricarpellary, trilocular, Liliaceae. In the same way, pentacarpellary and pentalocular, hibiscus. But there are some exceptional, because either due to formation of false septa or sometimes septa is not formed. Septa is not formed. For this case, bicarpellary, unilocular. Best example, Asteraceae. And exception in Solanaceae, that capsicum, bicarpellary, unilocular. Sometimes, like Datura, bicarpellary, tetralocular. Datura, bicarpellary, tetralocular. That is due to that true and false septa. Bicarpellary, tetralocular. Datura and even ossimum. It is classification based on number of carpels and also number of locules. Then next one, inside ovary, that ovules are present, and rightly place where ovules present inside ovary is called placenta. On the placenta, by the help of placenta, ovules attach to ovary. So, arrangement of ovules inside ovary is called placentation. So, different types of placentations. One is marginal. In marginal placentation, marginal common in Fabaceae. So, marginal is developed from monocarpellary, unilocular and ovules present on a ventral suture. Ovules present on ventral suture called a marginal placentation. It is LS of ovary. Then in TS, how it means like this. It is marginal. Then second one, parietal placentation. Parietal placentation developed from bi or tricarpellary. If you take brassica, in brassica, bicarpellary, initially unilocular, but due to formation of false septa, ovary is bilocular. But parietal, ovules present at periphery. And another example, cucurbita. In cucurbita, it is developed from tricarpellary, syncarpus, ovary is unilocular and ovules present at periphery. It is parietal placentation. Brassica and cucurbita. The next one, basal placentation. Basal, it is common in Asteraceae. Asteraceae means bicarpellary, syncarpus, unilocular and a single ovule present at base. So, it is called basal placentation. Example, Tridax and sunflower, basal placentation. Next one, axial placentation. Axial. Axial means Y2 multicarpellary. If you take Liliaceae, tricarpellary, syncarpus, trilocular and ovules present at central axis called axial. If you take hibiscus, hibiscus pentacarpellary, syncarpus, pentalocular and ovules present around axis, hibiscus. This is Liliaceae. Take lilium. Axial placentation. The next one is free central. Free central, it is nothing but axial placentation. Basic placentation in free central is axial, but after maturity, septa degenerates, then ovules present at a central axis called a free central placentation, that dianthus. So, marginal, parietal, basal, axial and a free central. These are types of placentations. And the next one, rightly above the ovary, there is stalk. That stalk is called style. Based on position, that styles divided into three types. Terminal, most common type. Terminal means from the top of the ovary, that style is formed, called a terminal. Example, datura. The next one, lateral style. Lateral style developed from lateral part of ovary. It is called lateral style. Example for lateral style, mango, mangifera. Then next one, gynobasic style. Gynobasic style, in which style is developed from base of the ovary. If style is developed from base of the ovary, called a gynobasic style. Example for gynobasic style, ossimum. And last one, stigma. Stigma, that tip of the gynoecium. Tip of the gynoecium is called a stigma. That a stigma is a sticky, and what is the function of stigma means it receives pollen grains. Generally, if stigma is round stigma is called capitate. Capitate stigma, citrus. Or if stigma is divided into lobes, it is called a fid. In Liliaceae, stigma is divided into 3 lobes. It is called trifid. So this is description about a flower.